This is What If Issei was the Blue Eyes and Red Eyes Dragon. So Issei, when he was born, he had this weird birthmark. It resembled two cards, and they were both on each of his hands. His left hand had, well, this card imprint that had a dragon on it, and it had a red eye. And the other one had this completely blue dragon with blue eyes. And yeah, they're actually completely curious about this, but they just figured it was just a birthmark when Issei was born. So yeah, they didn't really think too much into it. And Issei, as he was growing up, people would always ask him about those two birthmarks on his hands, and they'd say that they resemble Yu-Gi-Oh cards, which Issei actually thought was kind of cool. So did everyone else. But as they grew up, they kind of teased him for it because they said Yu-Gi-Oh is just a kid's card game, and Issei just had his Yu-Gi-Oh deck because he always liked Yu-Gi-Oh when he was a kid, and Issei's like, aww. But I like Yu-Gi-Oh! And they always made fun of him, bullied him for it. And, well, once he reached the high school, he just stopped talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! And tried to, put gloves on. But once he entered the school premises, they always made him take off his gloves, which people would make fun of him more about. And that's how part of his high school life was when he first transferred. And actually, Issei didn't really talk to many people, or when he did, he was a little awkward. Like, for example, if you talk to him for too long, he'll make an excuse to get away from you. He'll literally say, I'm sorry, I have, he'll just be like, I have diarrhea, and he starts running. Yeah, he'd say pretty much anything, and it could be random, by accident. And, yeah, that's pretty funny about him. Like, that's why people want to get closer to him sometimes, just because he has funny reactions. And Konako actually likes him a little bit. When he's in class, he's really smart, he is pretty considerate, and he always gives Konako sweets. But Issei doesn't know why. He likes cats, but he always, feeds cats, and whenever he sees Konako, he just can't help but think about one. So he just ends up feeding Konako candy and stuff. Yeah, so, all the way until a fateful day where he went to school, and right when he went in, everyone looked at him, and, well, they didn't really think much of him. They just walked on about their day, really ignored him, and he went into his classroom, walked into his school, went to his classroom, and he sat into his normal seat. The teacher was teaching a lesson, and Konako nudged on Issei's jacket sleeve, and she said, Issei, I wanted to ask you something. And Issei said, what is it, Konako? And they're talking in class right now, and the teacher sees this, but doesn't really pay any attention because, well, Konako and Issei are top students in this What If. And Konako just asked Issei, do you want to go out on a date with me? And Issei's face immediately turns red like a tomato. And he's like very awkward. He's like, sure. And yeah, Konako straight up hugs him. And you could literally see steam coming out of Issei, out of embarrassment. And people are looking at this, and they're kind of chuckling, and they think Issei's kind of adorable, is what the females think. And the guys are kind of jealous. And, well, yeah, he pushes Konako off of him. And once the bell rings, Konako and Issei just go into the cafeteria. Issei just gets the usual from the lunch lady. And, well, there was this one lunch lady that had very weird hair. Like, he looked at the lunch lady, and it was a new lunch lady. And, yeah, this lunch lady had a pyramid necklace with an eye. And he swears he saw that from Yu-Gi-Oh! He swears he has. And she has like very funky hair. Looks like the main character from Yu-Gi-Oh! Yugi. It looks like him. And she literally just looks at him and sees his actual birthmarks, and she in her head is like, it can't be. Is he the one? And before she could really talk to him, Koneko drags him to the side, starts talking to him, and she didn't really have a chance to talk to him. And yeah, like Issei just talks to her the entire day almost. And after school, they're like holding hands and stuff. They're walking out of the school, and Reese is watching this and thinks, "Oh, that's an adorable couple." Oh wait, is that Koneko? Huh? Who's the guy beside her? Beside her? And yeah, well, Issei just is holding hands with Koneko. They're going on a date. Issei takes her to an amusement park. They ride on some rides. They go to this one really tall ride. It looks like if you ever went to Six Flags, it looks like Daredevil Dive. And once they're about to go upwards, like legit, Koneko is clinging on to Issei. Issei's blushing, not even paying attention to the ride at this point. Everyone else is staring at this and is just like, that's adorable. And they go all the way down, like once they reach all the way to the top on the ride, and they go all the way down. And yeah, she was clutching onto him very tightly, and a picture gets taken. And yeah, once the ride finally stops after a few minutes of this, Issei sees the picture and decides to buy it for them. So they bought 2 pictures of it, and they both put it in their respective wallets. And Issei decides she's probably hungry by now, so he literally just holds his hand out. She grabs it, and Issei just walks them to the nearest ice cream parlor. The ice cream parlor is out, and this one guy is just like, scooping up ice cream, putting it in the cones, and Issei just walks up to him and says, "I'd like to buy 2 ice creams. Koneko, what flavor do you want?" And she says, "I want strawberry." And he says like, I guess I'll get chocolate. So, yeah, the actual ice cream guy literally is looking at them and says, "You two make a pretty adorable couple. Have you guys, done it yet?" And he's like a perverted ice cream truck guy. And he's like doing his hands like this. "Have you guys, And then Issei is looking in embarrassment. Koneko is looking in embarrassment. And they're steaming. And they're looking at each other. They're like, let's just go to another ice cream parlor. And the ice cream guy's dad, like, bonks him on the head and says, "Stop disturbing the customers. These 2 sweet kids are on their date." And he's like, "Yes, boss." And he just goes to the back. He scoops their ice cream, and he hands it to both of them. Issei pays them about $10 because that's really expensive ice cream and it tastes really good. It's really good ice cream, which they end up, licking their ice cream and eating it. And Koneko is curious about what Issei's ice cream tastes like, so she zooms in close to Issei, which gets Issei flustered, and she literally bites into his ice cream cone right where he bit into, and Issei is literally thinking, "Wait, isn't this an indirect kiss?" And he's even more flustered, and Koneko is, because she just realized what she did. And Issei's like, "I don't want to be outdone," so he bites into Koneko's, and yeah, they're like, just having an eat off. They're like eating each other's ice cream cones from their hands, from the other person's hand, and people are watching this, and they're like, some of them are just like, looking at them, and they're very amused. And they notice this, and they're just like, just walking away. They're like, yeah, we probably shouldn't have done that. So they just walk away, and Issei's just walking with Koneko, and all of a sudden, they leave the amusement park, and Issei just asks Koneko, "So, is there anywhere else you want to go?" And she said, "I want to go to an arcade." So they go to an arcade, and, well, they're playing Street Fighter Z, and, well, Koneko's kicking Issei's ass, but she has the combos and everything, and Issei's kind of like a new player to this, and he's losing badly, and Koneko's just laughing at him, And she says, how about this? If I win the next one, then you have to do one thing for me. And Issei's like, you're on, but I get to pick the game. And yeah, so they pick a claw game. And Konako sees this adorable cat plushie, and Issei's wanting the plushie also. He's not gonna lie, he wants it. He likes cats. So Issei, and Konako go to that exact claw machine. Konako goes first, she didn't get the plushie. And then Issei goes and he gets the plushie. And he wants the plushie. He gets it out. And Konako just gives Issei those puppy dog eyes. And Konako just is giving the puppy dog eyes. And Issei's like, here you go. He just hands her it. And she grabs onto it and clenches to it and says, aw, you gave up your stuffed kitten. And Issei just reels her in for a hug and says, I already have my kitten. And this makes Konako blush. Which, Issei's kind of a smooth operator with this. Issei also just, says, oh, also, you have to do one thing that I want, remember? And she's like, yeah, I forgot about that. So what do you want? And Issei said, I want us to go on a second date. Later on. And they both smile at each other. And Konako just sees it's really late. And she doesn't really want to go, but Ria's called her on her phone. So she says, oh, sorry, Issei, I gotta go. She leaves. And, yeah. Before she leaves, she gives Issei a peck on the cheek, which Issei's blushing. Konako's blushing and she runs away. And Issei is thinking, she's super cute. Which, yeah. He has a huge crush on Konako. They have a crush on each other. And Issei walks out of the arcade, and he sees this fountain, and he just looks at the fountain and he says, I heard if you dropped a quarter in, you could get your wish. He flicks a quarter in, and he wishes that nothing would change. But some wishes don't come true. Right when he flicks the coin in, a light spear goes through the coin into Issei before it could even fall into the water. Went straight through his heart. And Issei looks in front of him and sees this one girl with long black hair, with purple eyes, and dark wings, and looks like, well, to him, in his words exactly, looks like a prostitute. And he's like, what's happening? And he doesn't understand what's happening, but he just looks down and sees this spear made of light into his heart, going through his chest. And Issei grabs the light spear and grips it out with just his pure strength alone, which, the fallen angel is Rainier. Rainier is impressed with this, and she says, you might actually have been a threat. So I guess I'm going to have to eliminate you before you become one. And this was not a fluke. I'm glad about that, at least. Because I didn't want to kill someone as cute as you. And she started throwing light spears at him. And Issei was dodging them for a while, but he was stabbed through the chest. Not to his heart, but near it. And he was bleeding profusely. He didn't dodge for too long because his movements were getting slower because of blood loss. And Issei was just thinking really, really a lot that he does not want to die here. He doesn't want to die. He got super angry. He started screaming with all of his might. And says, I'm not gonna die! And then all of a sudden, this light beam came out of his mouth and shot towards Rainier. Right when Rainier was going to throw a light spear. Right when she threw it, it shot through the light spear, obliterating it. And it almost killed Rainier. Rainier dodged out of the way to the side, and that light spear flew all the way into the sky, and it blew away the clouds. And Issei fell to his knees and coughed up blood from his previous injury. His eye was changing, but he couldn't tell. His eye was changing. One of them was changing red, which was his left eye. His right eye was changing blue, which he was very weirded out that he did that, and he thought it was all hallucination or just some dream, maybe. And he was getting tired and more tired. And he just couldn't stay awake anymore. So, right when he fell to his knees, he was about to zone out. But he thought about Konako's face and wanted to strive. Wanted to strive just to be there for her so he could go out and ask her out on that second date. So Issei, with all of his might, picked himself back up and stood up, looked at Rainier, and Rainier saw the eyes. And Issei had this aura about him now. It's as if she was in a dragon's domain, and she was just a cattle. So she basically teleported out of there, because she was like, he's gonna die from blood loss anyway. Once he teleported out of there, Issei looked down at his chest, and his actual chest started healing, which he's odded out about. He doesn't know what's happening. But he just thinks that maybe he's tired and he was hallucinating or something. Maybe he should go get some meds or something. He just, goes home, opens the door. His parents ask him how his day was, and he's like, I went on a date with a cute girl named Konako. And they're both like, oh, finally, you made your move on her. And he's watching and says, wait, what? And they're like, we saw you whenever we picked you up from school, and you were always glued to her. You guys were always glued to each other. You guys make a cute couple. I'm proud for you, Issei, is what they both say. And they, had pat their son, ruffle his hair. And he says, I gotta go to sleep after today. He goes up the stairs, and before he can go all the way up the stairs, his dad asks, so did you guys, do the deed? Did you guys do the devil's tango? And he starts doing a tango. And Issei just looks back and just starts saying, no, we did not. And he just has a completely red face. He goes up the stairs, opens his door, just plants himself on the actual bed, and he just goes to sleep. And that's where I'm going to end it. What if Issei was the blue eyes and red eyes dragon? Okay. So I hope you